Hello there, TV viewers, and welcome to another edition of Pop Profiles, the show that brings you the life stories of the world's biggest music stars. On today's show, we have California's very own No Doubt and their beautiful blonde frontwoman, Gwen Stefani.
They took underground style of music and took it to the masses.
They were a lot more underground and a lot more sort of progressive ska, kind of punky, Long Beach, California style.
It sounds like Southern California. It sounds like exactly where they're from, and it gives you this kind of visceral feeling when you hear that.
It really was the second coming of Blondie.
But where did the story of No Doubt and Gwen Stefani begin? Well, the band hails from Anaheim, California, and started out way back in 1986, when people still dressed like this. After developing a die-hard local fan base with their live performances, the band was signed to the newly formed Interscope Records, with music mogul Jimmy Iovine predicting that Gwen would become a big star. They released their self-titled debut album in 1992 and the independently produced Beacon Street collection a little later.
When No Doubt's kind of first came onto the scene, I think that the fact that they kind of came from really traditional ska, a ska sound and this sort of punk underground, it kind of gave them street cred. And it wasn't until later that they sort of broke out into the pop, more of a poppy spectrum.
I loved the early No Doubt material. It was different at the time. You know, you heard it in the beginning and it had this very grassroots, sort of Orange County, LA sound.
No Doubt's first two albums had hardly set the charts alight, but that was all about to change as they worked away for years on their third offering, Tragic Kingdom.
We would just get together every day. I have a little home studio thing. And we'd get together every day and write a track, or try to write a track. And me and Tony would be sitting on the drum machine on the keyboards, we'd come up with the stuff, and Gwen's good with those melodies. She's got this thing going. And then she would sit on the couch and write words.
Their hard work paid off, as Tragic Kingdom turned out to be packed to the brim with hits, such as Spiderwebs.
Gwen Stefani was such a remarkable lead singer. She was like no one else. I mean, of course, Debbie Harry did it back in the day. And again, to this day, you hear her tone, you hear her voice, and no one else is Gwen Stefani. You know it's her immediately.
Being the lead singer and the only girl in the band, it's hardly a surprise that Gwen came up with the empowering anthem, Just a Girl.
Lyrically, I always thought it was really interesting that I was in this band with all these guys. I have front row center viewpoint on what it's like to be in a rock band, but I'm a girl, so I get to see what goes on backstage. I kind of see it all, and I thought that maybe I should share that with people a little bit.
But it was undoubtedly with the band's third single, Don't Speak, that No Doubt cemented their status in pop music. The song would top the charts around the world.
Don't Speak is probably one of the quintessential songs of the 90s for sure. I remember it being on the radio for years, just on repeat, and the video was very, very memorable and sort of, I think people figured out quickly that Gwen's relationship with Tony Kanal, she had a 7-year relationship with him, and the song was about their breakup, so it kind of gave the band that Fleetwood Mac quality.
You really heard Gwen Stefani's pain from going through that breakup in the sound, and it's got that identifiable hook that made it a huge smash. It had everything going on.
Don't Speak is the quintessential breakup song. The thing I love most is it reminds me of Fleetwood Mac with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, where you have two people in the band that were once lovers and now have broken up, and one person's written a really bitter song about the other, and they actually have to play on the song. And that's what happened with Gwen Stefani.
It was an amazing song. I mean, even now, it's like you listen to it and it has that really 90s sound and that 90s vibe to it, but I don't feel like it's dated in any way. It was just so cool. Everything about like the video, and she was amazing, and she just had such a cool, like 90s kind of grungy, pretty style going on. It like represents a piece of the 90s. I loved it.
Propelled by the huge popularity of Don't Speak, Tragic Kingdom went on to sell an amazing 20 million copies worldwide.
Tragic Kingdom, I think that one of the reasons why it was so successful is that it was such a good package of music. It was great from the start to the finish, and it was really catchy and poppy and fun, and it wasn't just one or two songs. It was, this is back pre iTunes, where you couldn't just purchase, a song here and there. You had to really commit to the whole album. So sometimes it would be really frustrating when you get a CD and there'd only be one good song on it. But I remember going and buying Tragic Kingdom as sort of like a emo suburban kid, and it was just really exciting.
After extensive touring, it ended up taking 5 years before No Doubt's follow-up album, Return of Saturn, was released. The lead single, ExGirlfriend, had a video directed by hip-hop video superstar Hype Williams, and he made sure you knew it.
ExGirlfriend. The thing that stands out to me most about that video was pink. Pink! Pink everywhere! Wow. Wow. For starters, how does she pull that off? And look glamorous and not looking remotely tacky. I mean, this is surely where Katy Perry has been sort of jotting down notes.
Yeah, I mean, Gwen was just rocking a different style all the time and experimenting, and she was bringing in the different hair colors, and everything was a nod to punk rock. And this was at a time when the boys were doing it, but there needed to be a female voice as well, and she was providing that.
The ExGirlfriend video is kind of the precursor to Gwen Stefani's kind of obsession with Japanese culture, I feel like, because it's very kind of anime, comic booky, and she had the pink hair. And, the video is a really good sort of hilarious, kind of cheeky, empowering message of, like, turning the breakup, on its side and being like, I did always kind of know that I was gonna be your ex-girlfriend, so don't feel sorry for me. So it's kind of an odd female empowerment anthem.
Despite the band's best efforts and Gwen's eye-catching hair colors, Return of Saturn, with its change in musical direction, just couldn't live up to the success of Tragic Kingdom. But the band was happy with the final product.
If we tried to write music and try to figure out what we think what kind of music our fans want us to write, that would, to me, be the biggest sellout hoax thing that we could do. It's like, okay, what do you think our fans would buy, Tom? Let's try to write that song. First of all, we wouldn't know. We're not talented enough to do that. We don't have the skills to just write a kind of calculated song. But second of all, I think that would just be backwards. We just write for it. We're in the band for ourselves. We're really selfish. We do it for us. Then we share it with you.
Nothing could really follow up Tragic Kingdom. I mean, Tragic Kingdom was so huge that it would be very, very hard to top or even come close to it. So I think by that time people were a little tired, too, of the whole shtick, and it needed to be reinvented, which they were able to do on their album right after that.
It was a little more electronic, a little less ska, but it didn't get the sort of reception that Tragic Kingdom got, but I do think it was a good kind of sophomoric effort, because I think they didn't veer away too far from what they were doing, but they tested the waters a little bit.
They are so unpredictable as a band. It's all about Gwen's life and her relationships, and then her second album was about her relationship with Gavin Rossdale. So it seems to correlate that as her relationships go down, the music goes up.
Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, No Doubt recaptures the mainstream with Rocksteady, and Gwen takes her chance as a solo artist. Welcome back to Pop Profiles, where today's show is all about No Doubt and Gwen Stefani. After the commercial disappointment of Return of Saturn, No Doubt didn't wait long before releasing their next studio album, Rocksteady. And this time, they rediscovered the big hit singles they were looking for.
With Rocksteady, I mean, this was another foray into dance music, dance hall music, anthems, things that we're seeing a lot more of today. So I think they were real pioneers with that.
Rocksteady was really great because it returned, no doubt, to its fun, kind of whimsical musical roots.
We wrote differently, and it was a fresh way to write because normally we would write on acoustic guitar, and then we would develop a song into whatever song it's going to be. And then this time, with the help of the computer, we were able to like program a drum beat just to get the vibe of where you want it to be, like what kind of beat you want it to be, and then you write like the chords on top of that.
Rocksteady was definitely sort of like a massive party album of its time when it came out, and it was a very concise album and really produced really well.
I thought Hella Good was such a great song because it introduced Gwen Stefani to one of her now like permanent collaborators, Pharrell Williams.
They got really amazing kind of production team, the Neptunes, William Orbit, who had just come off of Madonna's Ray of Light and was like the producer du jour.
It was just a fun rock album that you could also dance to, which is gold.
We really had a blast. It was real. I was sad when the record was finished because for us to record a record and put it out in less than a year is pretty much a miracle, and we are looking to, we need like an award or something, some kind of prize for doing it, because it usually takes, Tragic Kingdom took 3 years, Return of Saturn took 2 years, so.
1 year.
What? Oh.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, exactly, in 1 year.
I'm getting better.
Hey baby, hey, girls say, boys say, hey baby, hey baby, hey, hey baby, baby.
The Rocksteady album was largely recorded in Jamaica, and you could certainly hear the local sounds in the single, Hey Baby. They also brought in Jamaican dancehall star Bounty Killer to do a guest verse.
That was another thing that we said, that if there was any talented, amazing people that wanted to work with us, that we would hang out with them and see if any of their talent would rub off on us.
No Doubt kind of took this Jamaican dancehall music and really brought it to American white pop culture.
Musically, it came from the whole dance hall vibe. We were really getting into dance hall in the last year and a half. Tony actually is the one that kept playing these tracks every night after the shows. We had these big like dance hall parties, right? And that's kind of where the musical inspiration came from.
Check it out. It's Bounty Killer, no doubt. Jump on the stage, girls, before we crazy. Have to wear myself in one of them gorgeous ladies. There is no need to be hacking shady. Come on.
I would say Hey Baby is my favorite song. It's definitely something you can hear in the clubs. You took it everywhere with you.
And it seems as if guitarist Tom Dumont was having a little too much fun with the music video.
The video was awesome. I have to tell you, like a week before we did the video, they sent over a book. We were playing out the video, and this book full of like pictures of hot chicks. Okay, which chicks do you want in the video? that one, you know. That was kind of fun to hire hot chicks.
Yeah.
You know, because we wanted them to be dancing as they were.
Grinding on you?
Grinding. Well, they weren't grinding us. Well, a little bit.
For a long time, people had been expecting Gwen to eventually go solo, and she made the jump in 2004 with Love Angel Music Baby. She addressed people's expectations as well as her own fears of going it alone with the single, What You Waiting For.
What You're Waiting For was my favorite single off the album because it's one of the best, you know, kind of gym workout running songs out there. Or like play in the morning when you're trying to get ready to go to work and get all pepped up, and it's just a good kind of kick in the pants.
I would say What You Waiting For is my favorite song off that. It was, there was a lot of remixes done of it, which were fantastic as well, and that's always a sign of a very well-done song, that someone's made really popular to the masses, that everyone wants to have a piece of it.
I love Angel Music Baby because it was Gwen Stefani in a really great space. She had just got married. You could hear it in the music that she had grown up. She's super confident, but she was still into having fun.
Even though she was now a solo star, Gwen wasn't exactly alone, as she'd enlisted a quartet of Japanese Harajuku girls to perform with her.
I think that Gwen Stefani proved that if you do genuinely want to be stylish, you have to have Japanese friends. I think she proved that unless you have 3 or 4 Japanese girls following you around at all times, advising you on how to dress, you will never, ever really, truly attain chic nirvana.
The Harajuku Girls also appeared in the second single off the album, Rich Girl, which featured Eve and was produced by none other than Dr. Dre. Despite the claims made in this song, Gwen was undoubtedly already a rich girl, especially with her making her mark in the fashion world with her Lamb clothing line.
Gwen Stefani's definitely a style icon, there's no question there. From her platinum hair to her, high designer fashion looks to her street style. She's being photographed with her children at the park to like the red carpet. So she's certainly someone that young girls are looking up to, and also, stylists are dying to dress. Her Lamb collection's really successful. She's doing full runway shows. So yeah, she's seeing a lot of success in her own fashion.
And you really do have to admire her for it. But she does it in 7-inch heels and some very good eyeliner.
Gwen's second album, The Sweet Escape, was released just 2 years later and saw her teaming up with Akon on the single of the same name.
If I could escape, I would, but first of all, let me say I must apologize for acting stinking, treating you this way. Cause I've been acting like sour metal on the floor. It's your fault you didn't shut the refrigerator. Maybe that's the reason I've been acting so cold.
I thought that on her second solo CD, The Sweet Escape, I actually loved the title track, and I thought that Akon was a really great addition to it. And again, I think the reason why that song really worked is because Gwen Stefani is the best when she's having fun and rocking out, and she was totally doing that.
The Sweet Escape kind of came out when there was a sort of a moment in hip-hop culture where these videos were just super, super decadent, and everything was diamonds and really expensive champagne and these massive mansions. And so in a way, Sweet Escape was poking fun at this a little bit. It sort of even felt like a Saturday Night Live sketch. But it was just fun, and I think anything where the singer or the artist sort of is able to make fun of themselves and make fun of a culture is, I like that.
But after all her solo success and her foray into the world of fashion, Gwen is now back where it all began with her band. It's been nearly 10 years since their last hit song, but they're hoping to find the magic once more.
Really good. I mean, I hope it's kind of scary at the same time because you just never know what's going to happen next. But I feel like we've been through so much together. We could. Why not? Let's do some more.
Well, Gwen is working on another No Doubt album right now, so I think we're going to see how that does first, and then the rest will be determined. I think eventually she may do another solo record, but right now she's been working very hard to finish the No Doubt album and still balance all of her fashion businesses while doing that.
I'm really excited that No Doubt is coming back together after 10 years. It's always really tough after people have disbanded for such a long time and gone on and done their own projects and kind of have grown in different kinds of ways and probably haven't really stayed in touch. So it'll be interesting to see if they can really spark that magic again.
even though they've taken a little break and Gwen has done other projects and whatnot, they're just such a timeless band. You can listen to, songs from 15 years ago and they still sound just as fresh. And it's just a rare thing that a band's anthology is that concise and that kind of well thought out and still sounds really fresh.